Hi, I'm Carmen Mathis, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Let's Talk Film, a series where contemporary women get a chance to have their voices heard on the latest film releases. Today we'll be reviewing the riveting film Zero Dark 30, written by Mark Bowles and directed by the Oscar award-winning director Kathryn Bigelow. I'm standing here outside of Mojito Cuban Cuisine. It is located here on Washington Avenue near Park Avenue, just below the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway in the historic Clinton Hill neighborhood here in Brooklyn. It is also just a stone's throw away from the industrial Brooklyn Navy Yard and all of its renovations, as well as a few blocks down from the prestigious art college Pratt Institute. But for more than 7 years, Mojitos has been serving authentic Cuban cuisine, utilizing the freshest of ingredients with style and flair. Once featured on Chef Gordon Ramsay's reality Kitchen Nightmares, Mojito's Cuban Cuisine is a favorite with both locals and foodies. Let's go inside and have a little taste of Cuba. I have with me some Stephanie Dolder. What is Mojito Cuban Cuisine and how long have you been open?
Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
This is a family-run business, and we've been here for 10 years now.
Uh-huh.
All the recipes are from my great-grandmother. She's half Cuban, half Colombian. We take a little bit from, from all culture, Colombia and from Cuba. Yeah, but the recipes are mostly Cuban.
What is the best seller? What are the things that people come here for? Is it known for any particular dish?
One of our most known drinks, especially, are the mojitos. We have many flavored mojitos. They're really good. People say they're the best.
Flavor mojitos.
Mojitos. We also have really good Cuban sandwiches, the quesadillas. We have many main dishes like our tropical red snapper.
Oh,
So we have many dishes.
The Cuban sandwich, the authentic Cuban sandwich.
Yes, we have lunch specials, happy hours, brunches, and we cater, we deliver, we have takeouts, and we invite you to come.
And you're open for lunch and dinner. You're open for lunch.
Yes, we're open from 11 to 11 on weekdays and from 11, till 1, 2 on weekends.
Oh, well, that's good. And you are a lovely young lady.
Thank you.
I'm really happy for you. Let's meet our panelists today. Today's panelists are Debra Kirschner. She is a New York-based writer and director. She's best known for her indie feature, The Toll Booth. She has several projects in development, including a web series, Mom Enough for You, set to release in February. My second panelist is Ilene Rosen. She's in the middle of a career change, she says. She's taking her love of movies and is transforming into a writer, producer, and editor. She loves genre movies, science fiction, political discussions. Today we are discussing Zero Dark 30, written by Mark Bowles and directed by Kathryn Bigelow. One critic has suggested that perhaps Zero Dark 30 is still too soon for many Americans to feel comfortable with. Do you agree with this statement?
I don't think it was too soon. I think it's a conversation starter. I mean, it doesn't mean that we've healed from 9/11 and Osama bin Laden, but I think I actually think it coming so soon after Osama bin Laden's death is just one part of a long conversation.
Okay, and I tend to agree with you. I don't think it's too soon either. As a matter of fact, it answered a lot of questions for me that I guess I purposely had kept from myself.
Well, at some point you have to break the ice. I mean, I think you're right. There was all these films that came out before that couldn't get off the ground. And I think this one, the way it's structured, makes it easier to, as you say, start the conversation.
Yes. So now, in your opinion, does this film cheapen the history or truth behind the death of Osama bin Laden?
I don't think it cheapens it. I don't think that any one film should be responsible for telling the whole story.
Okay.
And I think that it was a really, it seemed to be a very realistic retelling of the events.
Okay.
So I think it was, I don't think it was, in terms of the killing part itself, like I don't think it was trying to be the be-all, end-all, but it was like, look, this is how they did it.
This is one telling. We don't know that this is real. We don't know that it's historical.
But we don't know that anything is real.
No, well, that's true too. This is one take, probably informed by a lot of sources.
Okay.
Right? I don't think it cheapens it. Okay. Would be cheapened in it if they made it really sentimental.
Okay. Okay. After years of female Avengers played by Angelina Jolie and Uma Thurman, would you consider Maya Jessica Chastain's character one of the most fearsome female protagonists we've seen on the fight?
Yeah, she was a real. That part was real. The obsessive devotion and to what she was doing, that was real, and I believed that. That I liked.
She didn't worry about consequences. I think she was incredibly fearsome. I think she was an incredibly brave character. I think her acting was I always felt like I feel like her performance was probably the strongest thing about the movie for me, because I always felt like I knew exactly where she stood just by looking in her eyes, and I felt like she had a lot of things to fear, and she stood past them and just didn't worry about them, and she was going to get done what she believed she needed to get done. So yeah, I think she's definitely one of the most fearsome and fierce characters.
Well, I do too. I agree. But the first thing that they said about her when they introduced her character is that they say she's a killer.
Yeah.
But you never actually see her do that.
No, but we knew it. We knew it because she never backed down.
But wasn't it also interesting that, despite her fierceness, she was always on except when she was in Iraq or Afghanistan, she was always on the periphery. That whole business, the last third of the film in Washington, where they made her, no, you can't sit at the table. You have to sit back there. You can't speak. You can't do this. That had resonance, and that was for all her fierceness.
But she broke those barriers.
Absolutely.
She spoke when she wasn't supposed to, and she
Right.
spoke how she wasn't supposed
And
to.
she said what
and
she
eventually
wanted
she
to
was
say.
sitting at the table, and eventually that director wanted to have a one-on-one meal with
Right.
her. So I think that she was cut there, and she made her way out of there.
Would you consider this a feminist film?
From a Hollywood point of view, yeah, because she's the center of the movie. Chastain carries the film.
Right.
So it becomes a feminist movie that way. On the other hand, the way the character is treated by most of the men in the film,
I don't think it's like particularly a feminist movie, but I think it becomes that in a way because I don't think it sets out to be a feminist movie. I think it's just about this very interesting person. I like the way she's treated in a lot of ways, because I actually think in a lot of other movies she would be the bitch. And I thought that it was like sometimes she was hard to deal with, but a guy doing the same thing would be hard to deal with at times and would rub his bosses the wrong way. So I just thought she was who she was, and people treated I don't actually think the characters treated her differently than they would treat a man. So in that way, it subtly could have a feminist message.
She was also unlikable in many respects.
But not because she was a woman, because she was stubborn.
Did you find her unlikable? Why?
Well, no, I didn't find her unlikable, but I could see if you had to work with her, you might consider her unlikable.
Why?
She was determined, and that's what makes it a feminist film, because women are not usually presented that way. You're right. If this was the usual Housewives of Atlanta, she would be a bitch, and she would be the one you stay away from. There's lots of ways to get things done. She was just a freaking bulldozer.
I didn't see her that way. I just thought but that's just me.
I found that one of her likable qualities as an audience, but I could see that if she was my coworker, she might drive me crazy.
That's the point I'm trying to make, right.
Do you like or dislike this film?
I have mixed feelings about it. I think technically it's wonderful. I think Catherine Bigelow can stage fight scenes like nobody's business. I think she can work with crowds like nobody's business. The development of characters was missing, and a big glaring flaw. I
like the movie. I wanted more from it, so I wouldn't say I love the movie because of that, but I thought it was definitely worth seeing. I think Bigelow is a brilliant director. I think her nighttime scenes alone at the end were unbelievable, and her sense of feeling like this is what it feels like to really be there as a director, I think is incredible. And I think it's a movie worth seeing because it is a conversation starter. I just think the movie had opportunities to go deeper, and I was left disappointed that it didn't.
I liked the movie a lot, and I liked it because of its clean-cut narrative. Because 10 minutes I realized that they're just going to tell me the story in this procedural fact way. I do believe that we expect too much to know. I don't believe that you're supposed to know everything about the CIA. I really like that, and I appreciate it. So I knew I was going to get the story fact by fact by fact. I knew that. Were there any standout or notable acting performances for you?
Oh, Chastain.
Chastain's brilliant.
She's the weight.
She's fierce. She's so alive. She's amazing. She carries every minute. Like, you just have to look at her face, you feel it, and I think her performance is so strong that even the scenes that she's not in, you're still impacted by what she did in the scenes.
And Mark
before.
Strong.
I didn't know James Gandolfini.
Oh,
yeah.
I was completely shocked, and I didn't know it until at the end. So that's how much I was immersed into the film.
And Kyle Chandler.
Well, the only one that I recognized was Harold Perrineau. And
who was he?
that was the black guy.
Right.
He was really great. So he had a great moment.
Right.
Yes. So I really didn't even recognize Jessica Chastain until the credits.
Right.
I knew her, but but she
And
carried me
she
so far.
disappears.
She is just a
Yeah.
powerful,
Yeah.
powerful
Yeah.
presence.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the marketing campaign for this film? Do you find it to be effective?
I do. I do find the marketing campaign to be effective. Honestly, I do think that it calls back to a film I already loved, which was The Hurt Locker, when they keep mentioning Academy Award-winning director, and I absolutely loved The Hurt Locker, so I was going to see it. I was sold already.
I see.
I was going to see it.
The marketing campaign is opportunistic, so they have to push the controversy. They're marketing either the inside story of how we got bin Laden or do you believe in torture?
See, I don't find that coming from the marketing campaign. I find that coming from the media and the critics.
And
of the
isn't that
movie.
the same?
I don't know. It could be. I mean, maybe they're leaking those kinds of questions on
Hello.
purpose. But I honestly feel like it seems like other people are stirring that up.
If you weren't on this panel, would you have gone to see the film?
I would have waited, I think, a bit. I have trouble with 9/11 movies. To be honest, I didn't see the other ones that came out a couple of years ago.
Okay.
I would have definitely seen this film. I mean, mostly for Catherine Bigelow, because I'm a fan of her work. I just thought it sounded interesting when I read about it months ago. So I think I'm the kind of person that reads about a film like this and wants to see it.
I would have seen it, and even though one thing, had I known it was going to talk about 9/11, I shy away from them too. I don't see that, but one thing I appreciated in this film is that they did not reenact 9/11 story that we in New York have all seen. So I would have gone to see the film, I think.
The beginning I thought was brilliant. The
Right.
way they recalled 9/11 was brilliant. I think it was one of the highest points of the movie.
It really was, and I really appreciate the way
Subtle
they did
and brilliant,
that.
yeah.
So we won't tell you what that was, but it's highly appreciated.
Really good.
And now I'd like to switch gears to one of our new segments where we introduce you to an online short film of interest that we have discovered and would like to share and recommend for your viewing. Today we will be discussing True Skin, a 6-minute short written and directed by Stephan Zlotescu.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a fun little easy watch. I thought it, in this information age where people are living their entire lives online, I thought it was, I guess it sort of had something to say about that, and it was just a really, the way it was filmed with all this interesting digital stuff going alongside sort of real life and suffering that the filmmakers seemed to think being human was a downside, and the less human you are, the more beneficial it is. I thought all that was kind of interesting.
Meaning that we're all going to be
Enhanced.
with digital qualities.
I'm a science fiction fan.
Yes, right.
And I thought it was technically fabulous for but it's a teaser. There's no film there. I mean, there's no movie there. It's 6 minutes of look what I can do. It's an effects reel with the promise of something to come, which apparently someone has picked them up and they're going to make a full-length film out of it. And I'd be interested to see what it is.
It may not be breaking good new ground. I agree with you there, but I think it's sort of coming at the right time, and maybe that's like that's a lot of what happens with film. It's light, it's fluffy, but that's
incomplete.
That's the place I went, and I enjoyed it for that reason.
Okay, but to me, it's incomplete.
Well, it's a 6-minute short, True Skin, written by Stephan Zlotescu, and we want you to look at it.
Yeah,
it's
a fun watch.
Everybody get your own opinion.
And you can catch this film on Vimeo. Well, we have run out of time. But I would like to thank you today for your comments and thoughts. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. It's great.
I would also like to thank Maria Catalina Velez for allowing us to shoot here at Mojito Cuban Cuisine. Today we are discussing Zero Dark 30, written by Mark Bowles and directed by Catherine Bigelow. I'm today's host, Carmen Mathis. Until next time, keep watching and keep talking film.
Mm-hmm.